2. Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Queer Women of Colour podcast. So I want to say thank you. We have 2 wonderful guests on our show today. We have Yasmin and we have Skyler.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey guys, how are you today?
Ooh. I think that's like there's a lot of feelings happening today.
Okay.
It's been a busy one.
Okay.
And we spoke before the podcast and I was like, I'm just going to come with the energy I have today.
Perfect.
But I'm feeling like a second wind is on its way. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for responding to the call to action. And how are you, Skyler?
I'm good. I gave myself a haircut today. It was really hot, so I decided to get a fresh cut so I feel like a new person, even though it's very hot today.
Okay. So, second wind, fresh haircut, good to go. We're all good to go. So I'm going to throw the question out, and guys, you answer what you want to and say what you want to. Where are you located geographically? And where are you located geographically?
Okay, I am in Cape Town, South Africa, but the town that I live in is called Kylmore.
Okay.
So it's about 60 or 70 kilometers from Cape Town.
Okay.
And that's where I stay. It's surrounded by mountains and wine farms and nature. So it's a beautiful little town. That's where I am. That's where I was born and bred.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And Yasmin, where are you located?
I am in Worcester in the UK, which is a town sort of south of Birmingham. Well, city. It's a big town. South of Birmingham. So yeah, in the West Midlands.
Okay, cool.
8 years.
So you were, so that's Skyler, because I can see the Estelle, sorry. Skyler, you were born and bred in that region. And
yes.
Yasmin, where were you kind of born and bred?
So I was born in North Somerset.
Oh, Somerset.
Mm-hmm. And I left there when I was about 17, moved to Bristol for a bit, then spent years there and then moved to London, then back to Bristol, had some children in Bristol, well, London and Bristol, then came to Worcester. So yeah, this is where I've been for the last 8 years.
Okay. And you were born and bred, Skyler, where you are, where you basically back home now?
Yes, I'm back home, yes.
Okay, cool. So just viewers, I'm going to be looking through my notes as I read through. Want to tell us a little bit about yourself, so you can talk about what you do for a living, you can talk about your pronouns, talk about how you identify, talk about your family in terms of, you've mentioned kids. So do you want to just give us a little summary of kind of who you are, a little bit about yourselves? Who would like to go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Both frozen time.
I'll go first, that's okay. I'll go first. So I identify as queer and gender fluid. I use the pronouns she and her. I don't really do the they them thing. I've been out since I was 19 years old. I'm 36 years old now, so I've been out and open to my family and friends about my sexuality, that I love women and I want to be with women. And most of the people in my life have been very understanding and supportive about that. At the moment, I'm single. I've been single for about 5 years now. And it's been quite difficult for me because before, when I was abroad and before COVID happened, I was going out and I was dating and I had some flings and I had a girlfriend. And then I came home before COVID. So a lot of things happened and I just never met someone, or I never went out on a date. And as for my profession, I am trained as an ESL teacher or EFL teacher, English as a foreign language teacher. So I am currently waiting on work, and I hope to work remotely and then be able to travel again.
Okay, okay, cool. Yasmin, over to you.
Where to begin? Once I get started, I'll get going. This is like, I'm just having a little ADHD pause. Where do I begin?
Wherever you want to.
Okay. Okay, what was the beginning of the question? I'm sorry, I'm very slow this evening.
It's okay, it's cool. Maybe we'll all need to help each other because I've got menopause brain. So. Yeah, what do you do for a living? How do you identify? What's your family makeup? So all that type of stuff, and give whatever you want to.
Well, I am 45. I identify as pansexual, queer. I came out when I was about 22 to family and friends. But I've kind of known since I was a teenager that I was attracted to all gender and people. It has been a interesting experience navigating. I've always said that, sorry, I'm now, my brain is going, existing as mixed race and bisexual. I've always felt, and ADHD, I always feel like I exist in the space between. So yeah, so kind of navigating confidence, I think, has been and knowing where I fit has been a bit of a journey, as is life. I'm a visual artist and I create work around sort of mental health, identity, the socio-political climate, all of the stuff that I find really, you know, I've struggled to navigate comes out in my art. Yeah, I have 2 children. I'm a single mum. I have been single for 6 months, but that's a whole story.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I've experienced homelessness and, you know, a bit of trauma that comes out in the work, and like the journey is interesting, wild, but we always get out the other side.
Yeah, but sometimes there's like so much struggle and trauma and work that has to be done. I feel, because of me being a queer woman of colour, and you talked about kind of that intersectionality of not finding your home and your space, and so within that community, I'm kind of going down a route that maybe I didn't plan to go down at this moment in time. But when you don't have like that network and support, then it's so much more difficult. You're also an artist. Would that be fair to say, Skyler? I don't know if you.
Yes, I do spoken word. My work is in English, Afrikaans, and Spanish. I've also done some string art as a hobby, but I'm not doing that at the moment. So songwriting as well. So for me, how I deal with my trauma and sexuality and mental health issues is through writing. That's what I do. I record my own videos, I produce them myself, and I share my story so that other people can see me living that, and they can hopefully do better in their own life.
So moving on to authenticity, do you feel that you are able to be your full authentic self? And do you feel that that's always been the case, or has it been a journey? Like, what would you say? That's the, like, whoever wants to answer that question first, and whatever that means. Being your authentic self.
Do you know what?
Um,
Sorry.
Sorry. For me, it's been difficult being a woman of color, a woman who has mental health issues, and then a woman from South Africa, because we grew up, or we have racism in our country. I know many other countries have it, but we have it. It's so systemic and it's so ingrained into you that that affects your whole life. So if you never leave the country, you might never interact with other Black people or other Indian people or other people that are not in the same race, because in my community, it might not always be accepted that we mix. Some people like to stay in their own race or in their own status symbol or wherever they are. So that affected me a lot when I was back home. But when I went abroad, I had more freedom to express myself. If I wanted to have Black friends, I could approach a person and say, "Hey, I want to be your friend. I find you interesting. I love your hair. Teach me about your culture. Teach me your language." So you have a lot of freedom, and there's also a lot of room where you are stuck in between two places because of your environment.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. And Yasmin, do you want to say anything on that note?
Yeah, I think that I'm feeling like the most authentic version of myself right in this hour of my life. I think that, and this is not in a kind of like everything is incredible sort of way, everything had to break, really crumble down in order for like this kind of the foundations to be set. So I feel like I've just gone like, as I've gone down, gone deeper into roots. Sometimes you have to get really bare back to the bone in order to kind of like, right, that's it. So yeah, right now I'm feeling quite solid, but I do feel like during my life, because of ADHD, masking a lot, and also an element of having to code switch constantly depending on where I was. And that's in a kind, my working environment, my home environment, my social aspect. Each of those has a separate code, and trying to navigate them all at the same time has been quite overwhelming. But I think, yeah, at the moment it's quite settled. Sorry, I lost my train of thought halfway through the sentence. Did you see it run away?
Where are you going?
I was onto something and now it's gone.
So you said that this is the most authentic version of yourself. I think you said right now. You kind of had to go right back to the bare bones to maybe like rebuild yourself up again and kind of start again. Is that kind of summarizing what you said? Yeah. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day who basically is from a Latin American country, and also talked about kind of this intersectionality of not being able to kind of be both at the same time, which is I think some things that you were both saying of kind of being a particular way in a particular space, and code switching and the rules and the societal norms of kind of being able to have different friends. They weren't talking about that so much, but it's just the fact that they couldn't necessarily be seen as their full authentic self in every space is more what that person was saying, and that kind of seems to be in line with what you two were saying. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm just like making sure that I'm summarizing correctly. On a more lighter note, I mean, there are lots of things that we could go down in lots of different paths, but just on a lighter note, do you have any like queer women of color who you admire? you look up to, who you like think, wow, wicked, love that person for years, they are doing this or that? Are there any queer women of colour that you can think of? Over to you, Yasmin.
God, do you know when you like somebody asks you what you want for dinner and your brain just goes, what's food? I'm just draws a blank. This is my ADHD brain. I'm going to, yeah, sorry, I might need to move. Sorry, my brain isn't working very well.
That's cool. It's cool. Skyler, have you got anything that you'd like to say in terms of people, women of colour that you admire? You might have some, you might not. It's, when we're talking about visibility and identity, and you know, we're there, but we're not necessarily out there in every sphere.
There's not really any woman of color that I admire, to be honest. There isn't. Well, the famous people. I don't have anyone like that. But there is, or there are, queer women of color who are in the LGBT groups, the society groups where you're able to go and join them and you can socialize with them, or they teach you about your sexuality, they teach you about your rights as a queer person. They almost like your lesbian bigger sister. Those type of women I admire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you there. There's women that I've met locally in the last year, and I haven't had like a queer woman of colour as an elder, or I mean, not an elder, they're really not that, I'd say not that much older than me, but somebody who was older than me, maybe a decade older than me, but someone who's just had more experience, navigated the world for longer, been where you've been. These are like the wisdom and admiration that I feel. I think sometimes it's quite tricky when I think about like celebrity in admiration, because my brain doesn't like, my neurodivergent brain goes, I don't know them. But I like what they, you know, yeah, my brain is
I think for me, part of the issue is when I was trying to understand myself and understand my own sexuality, it's like, where was the representation, and where is it now, and what does it look like now, and what does that mean to me now, and what would it have meant to me 30 years ago, like when I was trying to find myself. And it's just, there are so many people that we see on social media now. For me, America, not so many, but there are more queer women of color in America. Maybe not necessarily waving the flags, some are, some aren't, and it's great to see, but it still feels like it's like a lifetime away from where I am in the UK and where I've been in every space that I've been. That's not necessarily an answer to that question, but it's just how I feel. So there are people that I see on social media and I think, wow, respect, fair play, they found their partners, they found their community, they found their clique. But I feel like it's because, like Yasmin, and maybe it's the same for yourself as well, Skylar, that we're a minority within a minority within a minority. It's just like so much harder to find clique, community representation.
Yes.
Is what I think.
Yes. It's very difficult for me, especially. It's very difficult to make gay friends, because even in Cape Town, there are a lot of societies, there are a lot of groups with thousands of women, but it's not like you can just freely go and meet someone and say, hey, I want to be friends. You have to find each other, you have to feel each other, you have to understand each other. And it's just not as natural as it would be in the hetero world.
Yeah, that's a big fact. And then also, I think age and the spaces and where people go. And I think also post-pandemic as well, people just aren't socializing in the same way.
Yes.
And mental health is a huge factor.
Yes.
People aren't socializing. And then also a lot of spaces have been reduced as well.
Yes.
So, yeah. So let's have a look. I'm going to ask you some kind of, maybe like there'll be questions kind of going all over the place, but thinking about spaces and being your authentic self, you feel that you're seen when you're in a space as a queer woman of colour? So one thing is the way that you feel, but do you think people see you as a queer woman of colour when you're in spaces? And do you see other queer women of colour in spaces?
I live in Worcester, which is really white. So it's difficult to see many women of colour anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm often the only in the room. So it's strange navigating a space where you encompass many identities and boxes, and you exist in a place where loads of people are one. So maybe I'm the only queer woman, maybe I'm the only woman of colour, maybe I'm the only neurodivergent woman. So I do think people see me that way, because I think that's, well, a lot of my work is created around that. And I tend to can end up being a bit of a mouthpiece. All of the things that, are happening for the things that are for people like me. So yeah, I do think that people,
Okay.
yeah.
And Skyler, do you want to add anything to that?
I think I'm seen. I think most people respect me. Most people sees me and they say, okay, love and let love. I'm not doing anything to you. You're not doing anything to me. We have our own separate lives. Let's just be each other. Where I don't feel seen yet, but is something that I'm changing, is in my work, in my spoken word. I'm going to start recording and publishing more queer themed work so that I can, maybe there's an audience out there waiting for me, or maybe there's someone waiting to hear me share our stories. And I haven't done it in 4 years, and I think now is the time.
I'd agree. Do
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
now is the time.
now is the time.
Thinking about being seen and being your authentic self, when you think about dating experiences, do you have any funny stories or not so funny stories or experiences that you'd like to share? Just, it could be one, it could be more than one. Is that
I
a
don't
no?
have any stories to share. Yeah, that's a no. No.
Okay, that's a no. And is that a no as well, Yasmin?
Well, I mean, life is a comedy of errors. I could tell you loads of funny stories. I don't know if it's relevant to the podcast.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. So if we think about spaces being free to be ourselves, are there any countries that you would go to, or that you're drawn to, or that you've been to as a queer woman of colour and felt like, wow, yeah, home, comfortable, maybe community, maybe not, but just like really able to be your full self? And then also kind of conversely, places that you didn't have that experience, or like, I'd never go there for the exact same reasons.
I felt very welcomed when I lived in Colombia, when I lived in Medellin. I think that's where the two of us met. We never met, but we met at that time. Because I joined an LGBT group and became a volunteer, and they made me feel like a family, and there was community, and I was the only foreigner in the group, and they spoiled me, they loved me, they really made me a part of that group. So to me, that was a good experience, being queer. A country that I would not recommend to anyone else, or not a country, a region, would be the Middle East, because it's illegal. You can get stoned, you can go to jail, many things can happen to you. So that would not be a good idea. But I was there as well. And I was professional, I was private, I didn't share my identity, my sexual identity. So I was treated with respect, and I was also seen as someone to look up to. So it was a good experience, but I wasn't able to express myself in that way.
Were you in Saudi? Is that right, Skylar? Is that where you were?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first country I went to.
Yeah. And so did you find, because I lived and worked in Dubai and I was there for 2 years, and I found that there were like loads of queer people, but some were out and some were less out. But I found that like I was surprised at how many queer people were living in Dubai, for example, and in the region as a. I could talk about the UAE, because you could live child-free, rent-free, and just kind of have all of those freedoms. So I don't know if you felt like, if you found even in Saudi, because I think that there are probably lots of queer people living in Saudi, but very much on the hush, on the DL.
Yeah, there were many. I met a few teachers. They obviously disclosed their status to me, but I was too afraid. I was very young. I was 24. It was my first time abroad. I didn't want to break any rules. I was very scared of that, so I didn't still go and investigate. But that guy also told me that there are many, many, many queer people and queer citizens. It's just they don't talk about it. It's not up for discussion, but maybe in another country they'll talk about it.
I will say that whilst there were lots of queer people in Dubai, and Dubai is very lenient, I also like had my worst mental health episodes whilst during my time in Dubai, and that was like the most lenient place in the region probably. But that's where my head, maybe menopause also
I think Saudi's stricter. Yeah, I think Saudis might be stricter.
Yeah. And so, Yasmin, over to you. Any spaces that you've been to, any countries that you've been to, and had like, you know, a great experience as a queer woman of colour, or not?
Most traveling I've done, I have been on my own. So I haven't, or looking to, I was like having a holiday. So I was just, I think that I have sometimes the privilege of being able to navigate a space because of, I was saying about the space between and not knowing where I am. There's also, and not knowing where I fit. There's also like space to disappear into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
To navigate life and take a well walked path in order just to be able to just mentally be okay. So I just or just have an easy life. I'm going to say what it is. So I haven't, and also my experience of travel isn't vast. I've been to time traveled alone, but yeah, I haven't had to worry about that as it has not been a concern of mine.
Okay. I think for me, I know it's not about me, but I'm just kind of going to add that as a fat Black woman, I don't think people necessarily see me as a queer woman, number one. And then also, I think my age is a factor. And then also, I think I look quite hetero. I don't know what you thought of me the first and only time that we met in the street, Yasmin, but I think I look quite straight, if, whatever that means. You're thinking, no. Did I? That's good. But I think I look that way, but obviously you're telling me something different, which is good.
Maybe we're both people that people go like, are they? Or whether, I don't know, what does queer look like? It's what
exactly. And so we're all kind of like free to be ourselves, but the stereotypes, we could say, and kind of the radar and all the rest of it. What would you tell your 15-year-old self?
Ooh. What would I tell my 15-year-old self? Don't worry about your GCSEs. You're not going to need them, love. Nah.
Especially the bloody maths. Well, kind of, yeah.
Don't stress that. Also, listen to your gut. Like, it's not lying to you. It's not lying.
Okay.
We have like.
Sorry. No, sorry, carry on, Yasmin. What were you going to say? You have.
I think that listening to gut feelings is to be taught that really young, and to follow your path and trust it. That's like, I feel like I'm on that bit at the end of Drag Race when it's down to the final three. I have to talk to my little self.
Well, it's about trusting yourself, isn't it? Trusting your intuition and your gut and your own path. It's about having that self-belief, and I think it depends on the upbringing, but it's not something that I was taught as coming from a Caribbean household. You know, trust yourself, believe in yourself. It's quite authoritarian, and you know, believe in the others that tell you whatever about yourself. So, yeah. Skyler, what would you say? What would you tell your 15-year-old self?
I would have told myself to come out sooner, because the first time I kissed a girl, I was 13 years old, and I knew that I now like girls, and I suppressed it for 4 years because my parents were very religious and they wouldn't allow it, and they would kick me out, and they would shame me and take me to church and pray the gay away and all of that. So I tried to suppress it. And when I was 19, I couldn't do it anymore.
Wow, well
so I would tell my 15-year-old self to come out and be as you are, so that I could have been more myself sooner and longer.
I want to echo that, because I think I came out quite late, and I think when you came out earlier, believe in yourself, trust yourself, know yourself, I feel like my white counterparts, for example, I'm in the UK, they then are getting married at 25 and having kids and doing that whole heteronormative stuff, but it's what we're expected to do in the world in which we live. And when you're on the journey of just understanding yourself and that self, and just trusting yourself and believing yourself and being accepted and accepting of yourself, it takes so much longer to meet your potential partner or partners and start doing all the basic stuff that your peers did like 20 years ago.
Yes.
I'm 50 and I'm like, oh shit, I wanted to have kids. It's just like that, you know?
Yeah. I think I would have gained a lot more experience with dating, and I would have had more confidence with women. And I think I would have been more popular, not because I needed to be popular, but I would have been more popular because I was myself. And I think those 5 or 6 years that I suppressed it was stolen from me, but it was the environment that I grew up in.
Yeah. Hey, any kids around? Any kids for me? So let's have a look. What are you most optimistic about thinking about the future? What are you looking forward to the most thinking about your future? Whoever would like to answer that or not?
I think I'm gonna have a wife, kids, a dog, a car, and a house, and I'm gonna be happy and stable and healthy. That's what I'm optimistic about.
Beautiful. Anything that you'd like to say, Yasmin?
I'm feeling like I'm really going to enjoy being in my own company this year and having a garden, start growing vegetables and decorate this house I've lived in for a month, and settle into making new connections and lasting friendships and building my community. And that's what I'm optimistic about, yeah, this year.
Community, I hear you.
Broaden my horizons, and there's all these people out there.
That sounds good. Have you got a plan of how that's going to happen? And have you got a plan, Skyler, of how that's going to happen?
I do not have a plan. I have given it to God. I've given it to the universe. I did write a poem about the woman that's going to come, and she's coming to stay. I did write a poem about that. So I will record that and share that. But I'm just focused on my mental health. I'm focused on my stability. I'm focused on being myself and being okay, even though I'm 36. Like you said, you're supposed to be 25 and be married and have 2 kids. I'm 36. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I have 2 dogs, and I've got mental health issues. So
It's
I
hard.
think me just being me, going to exercise, meditating, doing my poetry, waiting for work to come, being human, just being normal. That is what I'm doing. I think that's more than enough.
Yes, the being normal thing really resonates. Like, everything has been, like you said, you have issues with your mental health. I've been on a crazy, really hard journey with mine over the last year in life, and just steadiness. Like, if I have a platform,
Stability.
steadiness,
Yeah.
that's good. If I can have a settled heart in myself, then everything else always seems to fall into place, you know? So yeah, that resonated with me, Skylar.
Would you say, Skylar, and would you say, Yasmin, that you have a community where you are at the moment, and that the support that you need, or is it something that's kind of like not where you'd want it to be, or not really there, or something in between?
I'm at the hospital. It's actually a public hospital. And they've been supporting me since 2022. I had a very big nervous breakdown in 2022, and they hospitalized me for a month. Then they released me. They put me on medication for bipolar, major depressive disorder, and anxiety. And then every month I receive counseling and therapy from a psychologist. I also get to see a psychiatrist. There's a psychiatric nurse where I live. So that system has been so great for my recovery and my stability, because they are actually there. I see them every month. I tell them when I don't feel good or if my meds aren't working. And then other than that, my family and friends are there. I psychoeducated them about bipolar. I sent them PDFs on what to do, what not to do. This is my mood. If you see me not sleeping for 4 days, you need to get me to bed because I might have another breakdown. So the support system that I have is very strong,
Good.
and I'm very grateful for that.
That's wonderful to hear, and thank you for sharing that. And I wasn't sure whether we were going to go down that route, but thank you for sharing that. So thank you. Yasmin, do you want to answer it or say anything about like community and support?
Yeah, I just want to say what you're just saying, Skylar. That sounds really hard what you've been through, and like, hats off to you that you kind of got this far and you're able to communicate that with your family and friends, like to express your needs is like really valiant. I find it's this thing that I find really difficult to do at times, like say this is I'm struggling and this is what I need. Because sometimes people say, what do you need from me? And it's like, for everything to stop, to be able to like make that decision for yourself is, yeah, brilliant. Sorry. Anyway.
No, it's cool. Community, do you feel like you've got support in ways that you want and need, or is it?
I have an incredible community around me. Recently, wow. I I've had a really, really difficult situation which rendered me and my children homeless. We lived with my sister for a little while, had to leave my home. So my queer community, might want to edit this bit out. I know you're rolling, but I'm going to just share something that is might not want to be kept public, but now I've given you some of the story. I feel like I need to give you all of it because ADHD means it won't make sense in my head.
Okay.
Do you mind if I carry on or stop?
We can carry on and I'll find a way to edit it out if you want me to do that.
Okay.
If you're happy to do that.
Do you know what? I'm going to see if I can cut it in my brain. Sorry. I was homeless and my community came together and has given me everything I've needed in order to recover. I've been in a position where I've been like flat on my ass, and I'm quite new to a lot of people that I work with. I've got into my art career over the last sort of 2 years here, and like gentle activism work, and my community showed up for me like I felt like I've showed up for them as well. So it's like I feel very held. Sorry, my brain was like, this isn't going to make sense unless I say it all, but I managed to. Sorry, I self-edited in the end. Sorry.
No, I'm glad that you've both shared that, because I know that there are so many topics that we could talk about and so much real stuff and so much stuff that you might not want to share, might not be the place or the time to share. And so I just want to say thank you to both of you for sharing the stuff that you just talked about, because it's not easy when you're going through it, when you're in the midst of it, when you're on the other side, when you're picking yourself up again. And it might be the first time, it might not be the first time, especially Skyler with the bipolar, it might not be the first time, I imagine. But I'm really glad that you both said that you've got support in place that you need, because I think that's like the difference between life and death. That's what I think, because when you feel supported and able to do what you need to do, or know that if you fall down, somebody can pick you up, it's just huge, rather than struggling and suffering on your own and in silence. So thank you. So I'm thinking, would you like to ask each other a question? Don't have to.
I have a question for Yasmin. What's your ethnicity?
My ethnicity. Do you know what? When we were talking, I was like, that's a bit I forgot. And also my pronouns are she, her. You know, my brain's just been, it's like I forgot to say. So my dad is from Libya and my mother's British. So my mum's from Somerset and my dad is Libyan. So he came here to the UK in 1974 to study. Then he met my mum and didn't go back with his degree, which meant that he was in a bit of trouble with Gaddafi, because you kind of had to go back with your education. It's a communist country, so he was in a bit of trouble. So he lost contact with his family for 30 odd years because of all of the things. Then I think Tony Blair did a filthy handshake at some point, and then everything was okay and people could go there to Libya again. And then Facebook happened and he found his family and then he moved back. And that's the potted history of the last 15 years. But in between times, he lived in America and the UK, but my parents split when I was really young. So I was 5. So I was brought up by my mum in Somerset, where we were the only brown faces for a good 15 miles at some point. So yeah, I mean, high school, I had my high school year photo showing the kids earlier, and I was like, well, that's me, that's Bodrel, that's Sarah, and that's Claire, because we're the only brown people in the whole of our year group. So it's like, yeah, my But everybody knew my dad because he was the only taxi driver as well. So
Okay.
always known as Salem's kid, even after he moved away.
Yasmin, would you like to ask Skyler anything?
Have you been to the UK to work? How did you find the vibe here?
I haven't been in the UK yet. I have a family friend who's there. I think he's been there for 10 or 12 years, so he's got his citizenship now. And he's invited me a few times to come over, but at the moment I don't have the means to go, but I would love to go to the UK.
Okay, thank you. A little bit more somber, maybe. How would you like to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as the best aunt any kid could ever ask for, because I'm loving and I'm kind. And I would want to be remembered as the best friend anyone could ever ask for, because I'm loyal and I'm ride or die. And if I have a wife, I would want her to remember me as the best partner that she ever had. Yeah, I want people to remember me at my best, not at my worst.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And Yasmin, how would you like to be remembered?
I think for being on the right side of history, and for being fair, and for the right side of history, like I'm going to be famous, but personally, I don't want to. Sorry, but I do. I want to kind of have children that will be proud of the fact that I stuck up for what was right and just in the world, and that I educated them to be like, proper little protesters and get out there and understand the injustices and not make them blind to these things. I want to be remembered for being fair, kind. Yeah.
Okay. A couple of questions. Is there a question that you wish I'd have asked you?
Hmm?
Is there a question that you would have liked me to have asked you?
Oh.
That's more grammatically correct. You were hoping maybe that I'd ask, or?
I think like our strengths or our weaknesses as queer women of color, because a lot of the times you have to be stronger than most people, or like I said, depending on your environment or the scenario that you are in. I think that would be a good question, is to ask, what do you think our weaknesses or strengths are as queer women of color?
Over to you then, Skyler. That's your question.
I think we are resilient, because when I was younger, seeing that I present more masculine, people would always ask me, hey, are you a girl or are you a boy? Hey, do you like men or do you like women? And in the beginning, I used to answer them because I didn't want them to bother me any further. But then I realized that, what if I answer the wrong person? They could do something to me or they could hurt me. So I think we have a lot of resilience. And I also think that we have more empathy and compassion for each other, because all of us have a story. I'm sure that a lot of people suffered because of their sexuality. A lot of people might have lost their family. They might have lost their religion, or you know, the best friend of 20 years. I've lost a lot of friends when I came out. And I have family members that are ashamed of me for being who I am. So that makes us more empathetic toward each other. And I also think that we are brave. We're braver than most because
Yeah.
you get up every day, or you see there's another person who has been killed, there's another person who has been assassinated, but we still get up every morning and we live our truth because it's our right.
Okay, thank you. Yasmin, do you have a question that you wished I'd have asked you?
I just want to add to the strength and weaknesses thing that you were just saying then, actually, because you were saying about resilience and being really caring. I think that because of the lens that the amount of the intersections in which we sit, we're able, we have that. I always do this because, you know, when you have your eyes tested and they put in a lens to see how they're doing it, I'm always like, well, there's the queer one, there's the brown one, there's the woman one, there's the neurodivergent one. It's like there's more lenses that you get to see through. So your compassion to people that lie in them is just is whole. I think that we're the kind of like it's almost kind of a mothering feeling. There was something that I was reading about two-spirit and the respect for two-spirit people in Native American culture is the embodiment and the ability to be all. And I think that it kind of has a, when I talk about the lenses, it kind of has that. It's just an embodiment of everything.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if you've got a question that you'd like to, that you're wishing that I'd have asked you, or not at all.
I'm just trying to think of the weaknesses. I don't think I've got any.
That's fair enough. We've all got them, but yeah, do we want to share them? That's a whole other story.
Really well.
I think we're going to kind of start coming to a close. So we've talked about the past a little bit, we've talked about the present, and we've talked a little bit about the future. The previous guest, so I've taken this from a very famous podcast, Stephen, I can't remember his name, Stephen something left, and he asks his guest to leave a question for the following guest. And so my previous guest, the question was to you guys, how do you think your life would have been if you weren't queer?
Well, I've tried that loads. Yes, I married a man and was married to a man for a very long time. I've tried that and I didn't like it.
That so was the queer woman though, no? Or was it a pansexual woman?
Well, I've lived a really heteronormative life for the majority of my life. I was married, you know, for my relationships, I was married to a man. So I've always been a queer woman, but I was, you know, to me, I've spent a lot of my life in a place that gave me real discomfort. So, you know, to put that aside and not to be myself, actually painful. So I don't want that. I'm really it's something that in my soul, to relinquish it feels very, very, it feels cold.
That's fair enough. That makes sense. Skyler, did you want to answer that? What do you think your life would have been like if you weren't a queer woman?
I tried to be straight. I dressed straight. I acted straight, bad boyfriends. It didn't make me happy. It made me very sad. So if I wasn't a queer woman, I would want to come back maybe as a dog or something, but I love the fact that I'm a queer woman of color with mental health issues. I wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Beautiful.
I think it would be remiss to add, though, sorry if I may, to what I was just saying. I think that it would be remiss for me not to say that as I existed in a heteronormative relationship, I didn't also carry the privilege of being unseen. So I didn't have to, there was not the burden of having to navigate more of those lenses during that time. So just wanted to add that when I said, oh, it makes me feel cold, that's just how I feel about embodying my true self rather than putting to side the privileges I understand that I had, even just by being able to, having children and, that kind of thing, the ease that comes from a heteronormative existence.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. So what question would you like me to ask the next guest? I don't know if you want like 30 seconds just to think about that.
I think I have one.
Mm-hmm.
If you had $1 million, who would you give it to and why? And you have to give it to someone or maybe a group of people.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Yasmin, do you have a question for my next guest? I think it's tomorrow, actually.
It's such a good question. It's like, we can't keep it, but we can give it to someone. Yeah.
Hot potato.
No, what we're doing with it. Sorry, my question. So I was just thinking about this. Okay, so you can wake up tomorrow and be anywhere. Where would it be?
Okay, thank you. I'll ask the next guest those 2 questions. So before we come to a close today, a couple of things. Is there anything that you'd like to add to what we've talked about today, or just, we haven't discussed about your life, your experience, your thoughts as a queer woman of colour? Is there anything that you'd like to add? It could be no, could be yes. I mean, like,
Can't think of anything.
Perfect. So if people would like to find your work, your creative work, your artwork, or you as an individual, and again, you don't have to give this if you don't want to, but if you would like to, where can they find you? Where can they get in contact with you, or where can they find your work or book you?
On Instagram, I am at Skyler Stella, Skyler with an A, at Skyler Stella.
Okay, thank you. And what would you be offering? What would you like them? Is it just to follow you, or would you like?
Yeah, it's just to follow me. I post some of my videos sometimes. I have a YouTube, but I have another. My name is different on YouTube, so if they go to my Instagram, they can see some of the videos, and then they can go and follow the YouTube page there. I would love to have more YouTube followers.
Okay, fantastic. And Yasmin, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram. So Yasmin Agilah, Agilah, and I'm a resident at the Artery Studios in Worcester. So I do workshops and have exhibitions there. So if you're in the Midlands, then hi.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to say thank you very much for your time, your energy, your honesty, just talking about your real truths. I just want to say thank you again for just kind of giving us a snippet of what you've gone through, in the last few years, both of you. Thank you. If you would like to be a guest on a series of queer queer women of colour, please drop a note in the comments or send a message. And you too can share your story, and we can let the world know that we are here en masse. We have always been here and we're here to stay. Please like, subscribe and share. From Jeanette and my guest, Yasmin Agilah. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.